So if you could be here around 9, that would be great. Okay?
Well, listen here.
Hello, and welcome to 90 Day Fiancé UK. I'm Mr. O, and today Miss H and I will be discussing Season 11, Episode 5 of 90 Day Fiancé. In this episode, Shawn, his mom, and Alliya are all getting increasingly nervous about Alliya meeting Shawn's kids. Sarper makes it to LA, and his half-apartment, half-esthetician space that he's going to share with Shekinah. Juan comes clean to Megan and gets some new information about Jessica that he doesn't like. Matt and Amani break one of the unwritten Throuple rules that Amani had and made up in her head. Mahdi does what he can to get on Stevi's family's good side, and Mina squares off with Mark's daughter, Jordan. Alright, thanks for listening, stay safe, and enjoy.
Hello, Mr. O.
Hello, Miss H.
How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good because it is St. Patrick's Day today when we're recording. And
right.
That's
I'm
always
wearing green.
That's always a big day for me because the O is an O for an Irish name.
Yes,
Mr. O. So it's always funny. So I play my Irish music in classes all day long, and then I love the one student who's like, "Wait, you're Irish," and the other kids all just being like,
Oh my god!
"Have you heard his
about last names?"
They're like, "I didn't know that. What? Oh, last names?
Gosh.
Really?" It's always a lot of fun every year.
Yeah, I'm sure.
All right. So speaking of people who seem to be having a lot of fun, let's start with Shawn and Alliya. So we see Alliya come out of her interview, and to her surprise, but not to ours, she was approved. We already knew she was getting approved. That was the whole thing. So everything went really well in the embassy, and she was super happy. They were very welcoming. She said the person in there wrote down her names, like, "Oh, Alliya, that's what you want to be called." And I think the idea of even put that in her file so that in the future that's what they'll call her, even though I think the passport still and the visa still has to say Douglas. But anyway, she gives Shawn a call to let him know, and they're both excited to get started with this. So excited that she's just doing a little a kind of a mini twerk into the camera, just like a little dance right there. But later on, we see Shawn meeting his mother, who's ordering just straight tequila, but no salt because of her blood pressure. He describes his mom as a real dynamo. She's 86 years old. She's really, sprightly and lively and does all kinds of crazy stuff. And they talk about the current situation. So he says that, I think it was Jeannie is the mom's name. She's the only person in his life that actually talked to Alliya both prior to and after her transition. So kind of the only person that knows. Actually, more or less the only person that knows about her at all, which because seems like it's going to be a sticking point for this season. He kind of asks how she feels about what changes she's noticed, and she was like, "Oh, well, prior to the transition, she was very, very demure, didn't really say much, was very reserved. But now that Alliya's here, it's all chatter, 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 talk, 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 all the time." So he says that most of his family, including his children, doesn't know he's seeing anybody, doesn't know that person is trans, doesn't know he's engaged to that person, doesn't know they're coming to the States, knows absolutely nothing. And that's gonna be a thing. So his kids do know that he's been going back and forth to Brazil, so he's like, well, they're not dumb, they know something's up. But Jeannie just thinks this whole thing is gonna cause family drama because his kids seem to really she's like, they're my grandchildren, I love them, but they're gonna cause a lot of shit. They're not going to like this at all. They're going to be a big sticking point. She thinks they shouldn't do that at all. They should just be happy for him. So he's working out, trying to figure out how to exactly to break the news. And, Jeannie is like, well, what does Alliya think? How does she feel? So then we kind of go to her to see how she feels. So in Brazil, Alliya's meeting with her mom, Cleusa, who is coming over to make dinner. So Alliya says, again, Cleusa has been just the rock of support, one of the person that supported her doing everything, including the transition, and is now worried about her because she's, going to go to America. Does this Shawn guy going to respect you? Is he going to leave you hanging? Who knows? So Alliya said she's mostly worried, again, just like Shawn was, about how the children are going to react. And since, especially because they haven't met. She hasn't met any of them. Now, all these children are grown children. It's not like children involved. So mom is worried that maybe Shawn is ashamed. Like, why hasn't he told his kids about you? And that's why this is all happening. So they both kind of cry as Cleusa is like saying she'll pray for her and everything like that. So I guess this one really shadows another story about like why on earth did he wait so long? What is going on with this?
Wait so long
to tell his kids. His kids don't know. What is this? Like this clearly, similar to the Mahdi and Stevi situation. This clearly is making it 1,000 times worse than if the kids would have been clued in at least a little bit before this.
Yeah, okay, but I kind of see, and I really see this with Mina and Mark.
It's a weird shadow between both of those stories, for sure.
Yes, because I feel like you are adult children.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say it's none of your business, but at the same time, it's like, it's different than if they're children and actually have to live with this person or have this person act as a step parent. But it's quite another if you have, and I don't even want to say estranged, right? But there's certainly distance, like they're not living in the same home. So if you don't live together, it's like, then that begs the question with how much are they really entitled to know? And I mean, I think it just goes to show that he probably doesn't have the closest relationship with his kids.
Sure.
But I mean, they're adults, and so does he really have an obligation for that? I think it really more so says something about his relationship with his kids, but I don't think he's doing anything, quote, wrong.
No, I mean, it's one of those things that, to me, at the end of the day, if he doesn't want to tell his kids and he doesn't care about the relationship between his kids, then that's fine. But it seems like, from what we kind of gather, like if the approval of your children and they're not overreacting is something that you actually valued, this is a terrible way to go about it, right? It's going to get all the news at once is going to get dumped on, right?
Yeah.
And now that I think about it, maybe it's not so bad, because it's like if everything comes out in dribs and drabs, right? Then every new piece of the story is something new that they bitch about, something new that they complain about, something new that they think they have a say in, right? And whereas this is all like, no, here's all the things you might possibly have to deal with all at once. And it's going to be a terrible hurricane, but we're taking this Band-Aid off right now all at once. But it just, and I guess the person I feel bad about in that situation is Alliya, because that means she has to be there for the whole Band-Aid situation that she didn't need to be there for.
Yeah, definitely. He's not putting, just like with the whole Mina and Mark situation, right? Not putting like his kids and his partner in the best position where they're going to feel like they are one big happy family, because it clearly seems like, Mark and, why am I forgetting his name? Having a brain fart. Alliya's partner.
Oh, Shawn. Yes.
Shawn. Yes. It seems like Mark and Shawn are both, just trying to keep things separate in a lot of ways. And, but then at the same time say, oh, we're one big happy family. I get the impression that Shawn's kids aren't very present in his life for whatever reason.
No, but I get the impression from both kind of him and his mom that they're not present, but they still feel like they have a say. Right.
Yeah,
they still want to make them their opinions known. Right. And especially because, this is this kind of a suspicion I had about Jordan when it comes to Mark and Mina from the earlier conversation. He's explicitly said they give a shit about the inheritance money. Like, what am I getting? Like, he talked about like, oh, when I go, they're going to be surprised at how much all this is worth, and stuff like that. So I don't think that that's not a concern from them.
Could be.
Might think they have like, how dare you, Dad? How dare you have someone that's going to take all the money that you were supposed to give to me?
I think that whole idea of assumed generational wealth is weird to me.
Oh, it's very weird to me as well. It's completely foreign. Like, to be fair, it's completely foreign to me because my father for a long time was like, listen, if I plan this right, I'm going to spend my last dollar right before I go and you ain't getting shit. Like that was how he's been telling me my entire life has been like that. And so, and I'm kind of the same way. It's just, I mean, like, I don't feel entitled to my parents' money. Like that's very foreign to me to feel entitled to your parents' money.
Right. And I think that's like the generational wealth thing, I feel like is a more recent thing.
I feel like I more recently may have been running in circles that care about it.
Right. Well, I think like generational wealth obviously exists, right? But for your upper, class of people, I feel like for kind of more the middle class, generational wealth is less of a thing because I know for my parents, it's like they were left with nothing. And also their parents like passed away at an age where it didn't really matter to them. It's like, okay, well, we've already established what we have.
Right. And
so it's not like I needed that.
I don't need that money. I'm a middle-aged person, who's providing for my own children. What do I need your money for? Like it.
Right.
Yeah.
So the idea of that, I think, I don't know, it just seems a newer concept to me because I feel like my parents grew up in a generation where it was not assumed that you were inheriting any money.
No, and I think it clearly has always been a class issue, right? Mm-hmm. It's been a class thing. Mark is loaded.
Yeah.
We'll talk about when he gets there, but I know where that person has that house. He's fucking loaded, right? He has that plane. He has those houses. Like there's a lot of money to be inherited. Whereas, and Shawn lives in a huge house in West Hollywood.
Oh yeah.
He's also loaded, right? So that upper classes, there's always been considerations when there's properties and houses and businesses to inherit. The inheritance matters, right? When it's what used to be middle class, where you kind of died with nothing, then it wasn't a thing. We just happened to have like higher class, not you know what I mean. Yeah. More upper class people in this one. Sure. I wouldn't call them high class at all. They're still pretty trashy people in terms of their behavior.
Well, I was gonna say, look at the stuff that Shawn has quote invested in. It's like random ass memorabilia, like Hollywood memorabilia. Right. It's like
yeah. So I just this is always going to be the interesting story because we see where it ends, right? And so it's kind of like every time that you want to do something, I'm really excited. And I was like, should you be excited about that? Like, maybe let's pump the brakes a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on, let's talk about, we mentioned him enough times. That's kind of Mark and Mina as kind of an addendum of, children not getting along with partners. So we see Mark, Mina, and Maria, and they're all on his plane, and they're going to visit his brother who lives on Bald Head Island in North Carolina. So his brother and his parents are there. Jordan is going to fly out from Florida to meet them there too. He's hoping Jordan and Mina during this time can make up. So they fly his plane, obviously. They land in... So what I put together, because I've actually been to this part of North Carolina a lot, you can't actually fly or drive on Bald Head Island. You can only take a boat there, and then there's golf carts on there. It's like a very exclusive like island community. So they have to go. He has to drive from wherever he landed on the airport out to the docks where they're going to get on the boats, and that's where they meet with Jordan. It's a whole thing. So they do have to transfer from a plane to the car, and they almost forget to bring the baby with them. They just leave her strapped into the plane and go like, I thought you had the baby. So they get in the truck, and they're in this truck driving to, I guess they're spending the night in a house on the shore, and it is just not good. Because it's just Mark trying to be like, I think you should make up with Jordan. And Mina's like, I don't think I should do that at all. She's a bitch. I hate her. Why are you talking to me? Why would I do such a thing? It's just immediate. Everything he's doing, Mina's just like, I'm not excited for that at all. I'm not excited to be here. I don't want to be here. I don't want to talk to that lady. This is terrible. Why are we even doing this? And he's just like, oh my God, I should have never said anything to anyone about
Well,
anything
he
anyone
shouldn't.
said. It was like, yeah. So anyway, she's really mad at him, and he's just like, just relax and have a good time, which is not really him trying. He literally says, I'm not trying to change your mind. I'm trying to change the subject. So they eventually get to the place they're staying, and it's got a great view of just like bushes. It's not on the ocean side, and it's like, so not super excited, not super glamorous yet. So, Mina tells him that they're next time we see them, they're getting ready to go out. They're gonna. And Mina wants to show up Jordan by dressing all sexy and looking great. And he's like, I don't care as long as we're not late. Spoiler, they're going to be late.
Yeah, right.
Because that's what's going on. So she takes a long time to get ready. Maybe not the 3 hours that we heard about in Paris. But by the time they're getting there, Jordan and her fiance, I think it was, Gabe, are waiting for them just like on a beach.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm assuming this is where they're going to catch the boat. But wait, they haven't said that's what they're doing. They're just meeting them there. It's a very awkward meeting. Jordan greets her sister by being like, oh, baby, hi. like no hugs or, oh, I'm your sister. None of that. Just like, oh, hi, baby. And then everybody just kind of stands around being awkward. So Jordan and Mark are kind of talking to each other. And we just immediately are jumping into, I feel like you have a new family and you don't care about your old family anymore.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. She just keeps saying, I just can't get past that you're having a baby. And, why would you do such a thing? I can't imagine why you would do that. It's so weird. It's so weird that you're having babies. And Mina's kind of eventually like is bored of not being in the conversation. And it was like, well, I hope you don't think it's my fault. And Jordan is kind of like, well, I kind of do. Yeah. If you were older, he wouldn't be having babies. And that's a problem. So then we kind of see interviews. And I think Mina just is like, well, fuck or shit or something. She only has a bleeped out cuss word as her thought of what's going on. Jordan just keeps saying this isn't what I pictured for you. And I don't know, like she has some kind of authority over him. And in an interview, Mina just thinks that Jordan is being super disrespectful and should mind her own business. Mm. So Mark tries to explain things that he has definitely explained many times before. And that's when Mina is like, you know what? Let me have a moment with Jordan. So she knows that Mark is trying to make peace between the two of them. But Mina's basically just like, now is not the time for peace. This is the day for truth. So they talk about how things went in Paris and how Jordan didn't feel welcomed or included. And she keeps saying she wants everybody to be this big family and just doesn't feel like that's what's going on, feeling like she's being sidelined. So she blames Mina for Mark not being able to maintain a better relationship with them. She's like, you as his wife should want him to have a relationship with me. And then also you were late for that party and I thought that was disrespectful, but they don't really stay on that very much. She's like, are you sure you want, Jordan keeps asking, are you sure you want more kids? She's like, yeah, in a year, not right now, but maybe in a year or two, I'd like to have kids. And then Jordan just like, well, what if I wanted to have kids in a year or two? That would be weird. So you can't have kids because that would be weird for me. So you should have picked someone younger if you wanted kids. So Mina's like, what are you talking? Do you think I'm just here to scam? To get the green card so I can live in a shitty house in the woods? I lived in Paris, lady. I was like here, and Jordan is more or less like, yeah, that's exactly what I think you're doing. I have my suspicions. And then Mina just busts out and is like, you're a snake. I don't want you to be at my wedding. That's where we end. And Mark's over. All the while, Mark's not a part of this. He's over with Gabe just being like, oh, do you think they're getting along? Yeah, no.
Oh, God. You're along. Like, the answer is no. No, they are not getting along.
No. I mean, okay, so I think we'd be in agreement that both of these people, Mina and Jordan specifically, did not come off very well. Both of them came off badly, generally. Which one do you think was worse in this case?
That's a good question. I don't really know because they were both, to me, not ideal. Like, Jordan, come on. She might have a kid. We couldn't both possibly having a kid at the same time. It's like, yeah, it is weird. She's not wrong. It is weird when your aunt or uncle is the same age as you.
Yes.
Right? Or there's a few years difference. And so, I get that that's an odd dynamic, but it's also like not your choice or business.
Yeah, it's not something you have a say in.
Right,
Yeah,
right. Yeah. So for her to say that that's the reason why he shouldn't is just weird to me. I don't really get the sense that Mina really tried. She was just like, oh, this is how I feel. Uninvited, you're cut out.
Right.
Like that was, and it just the way she said it was just so like callous and like, okay, don't come to the wedding. And it was just like, well, there was a lot of gravity to that statement. And I felt like she didn't really consider it. She was just like, okay. And also, I don't know if it's all just her decision to make ultimately, right? It's her wedding with Mark. She can't just say, your daughter's not invited. Yeah,
that is something that she ended up being kind of re-invited. But I mean, we've seen people skip weddings in the show before. It's been kind of a long time. But like, I do understand what's like, if you don't support this marriage, why do I want you there supporting the marriage? I don't like you don't want us to happen. Then why are you here? Why would I want you? Why would I want someone who doesn't want this marriage to happen to be part of celebrating this marriage? Like,
sure. Yeah. And I understand like what she's going for there because that isn't fair, but also at the same time, she shouldn't be the one who's like, well, I don't want your support then.
Yeah, no, it should be. Well, if you're not, it's one of those conditionals. If you don't support the marriage, then I don't want you at the wedding. Right.
Right.
And we can make it now, put the onus on Jordan to decide like whether or not you're going to support it or not. But I just felt like so much of this was Jordan wanting Mina to be somebody she's not. And Mark sees in Mina what he sees in Mina. She's not my cup of tea. But also, she's like, well, you were really late and you weren't super welcoming and you were kind of cold to the rest of the family. And I just kept thinking like, is this the first French person you've ever met? Because like it's just like you're expecting very non-French things from this French person, and like it so much of this is I just think it's a cultural misunderstanding that both of them are blowing out of proportion. Because I think Mina did the same thing. Mina was like, how she was like nice to my face. Mm-hmm. She said we had a great, and then comes back to you and talks shit about me. That's a snake. That's a liar. How could she? And I was like, well, no, that's just. You don't say things mean to people's face in America, no matter what you think. You like say, "Oh yeah, I had a great time." Like you just put that in the back burner. Like that's culturally what the expectation is, and I just think that was really two people who are not understanding where each other is coming from.
Yeah, I'm also kind of confused why Mina is just like normal is being 3 hours late. Is that? In any culture, is it a thing to be 3 hours late when your baby that is the party is for is already there?
That's the part that gets me because I have I have conversations with my students. I have many students from various cultures, right? And a lot of them are like, yes, 3 hours late is the standard. If you show up, because
that's so weird.
If you show up on the time that's been designated, people will be like, why the hell, what the shit, what are you going to do? While we're all still getting ready, why are you here, right? Mm-hmm. But crossing that over, that's a different story. If the baby was ready and there, right, and we were just waiting on her, right, and so that's the part that I'm just like, that's the part that really changed it into maybe that's not a cultural thing, maybe that is a Mina thing. If she had literally everybody else in position, and it wasn't just like, oh, the weird Americans that don't know how our customs work were there super early, right? And everybody was waiting for her, not just this one group of people that showed up earlier than anybody anticipated.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, neither of them are my favorite.
No,
so it's really hard to say.
And part of it is so much of it is Mark is an awful explainer. Like, he just never gives anybody any clarity at all. Go ahead.
Yeah. Let's talk about that for a second, because what in the world? He's like, dumping information on them, and it's really, I don't know if he realizes it. It's like, you are stoking the fire. You know, it's like by him trying to do damage control with Jordan is now just making her aware, because I think there's some element of, well, Mina, if she was just being passive aggressive about stuff, they might have just like ignored part of it and just kind of played nice. But it's like Mark is trying to get all this stuff like out in the open, and in the process of that, kind of accidentally saying things that maybe that other person was like completely not aware of, or maybe shouldn't have known. Like, oh, Mina has a problem with you. We need to fix this. What? Mina has a problem with me?
Right.
When did this happen? You know? And it's just like, okay, Mark, I don't know what exactly you said to, you know, Jordan, because we didn't see that. That was off camera. But it's like, you are clearly not helping this situation. You're just making it worse.
Just he also just isn't good. He's trying to diffuse in a way that feels like passing off, right? And so it's kind of like feels like there's a very touchy situation, and instead of owning his own decisions, kind of then passes the ball to Mina and is like, yeah, you take care of this. Here's the hand grenade that I already pulled the pin on, right? And then Mina's there to have to do it, and she's ready to throw the damn thing, right? She's not trying to bury it, like, and he just clearly he has not given Jordan an explanation of his decision making that satisfies her. Now, like other people, sometimes there is no explanation of your decision making that satisfies you. If they don't agree with your decision, they'll just keep asking you the question over and over again, and you're like, I can't give you another explanation. I told you my thought process. You didn't agree with it, right? And I think that was the biggest thing that got me from Jordan is, you don't have to like Mina. You don't have to like what your dad's doing, but you kind of have to accept it because it's not your decision.
Right. Yeah. And the acceptance just doesn't seem to be happening right now. It's almost like, but we've seen this before too, where a family member kind of knows to some extent that their blessing or opinion matters, and they almost use it as like a bargaining chip. Well, I want this. If you want me to accept it, then you can't have any more babies.
Which is telling somebody else that they can't have any more babies is...
Yeah, that is so bizarre.
Yeah, that's also bizarre to me. Sure.
Yeah, sure. Okay, speaking of people that, you know, are not super likable, let's move on to 3 people that are all unlikable. And that's our throuple.
So much.
I know. So, in the morning, the throuple, they're all one big pile of bodies, where Ani is giving the pouty lip as Matt hugs Amani. He is trying to distribute kisses evenly when Amani gets up to go to the bathroom as Matt and Ani stay in bed to kiss and cuddle more. Ani tells us that Amani was sick the night before, so she didn't want to be touched. Ani tells us that after that, she had sex with Matt. Amani gets back from the bathroom, noting that she lost her spot. They are all getting ready to leave, and Ani and Amani are holding hands as they leave the hotel. They're both in the back seat while Matt drives. Amani talks about how excited she is to see Ani's hometown and meet her friends and family, and Ani says that she is nervous, and she tells them that her brother thinks that Matt is her boyfriend, and Amani is just some random third wheel. It's triggering to Amani to be hidden because she feels like she's had to hide who she is her whole life with her sexuality. Ani promises that when she introduces Amani, she will tell everyone Amani is her girlfriend. Matt seems to be down for the drama, saying, interesting. Amani is mad, but Ani doesn't really know how her family will react to her being part of a throuple, and that's important to her. Amani says that they're making a lot of sacrifices, so it's only fair that Ani makes sacrifices too. Amani thinks maybe that Ani isn't taking this seriously. They reach Ensenada and check into their hotel room. The hotel employee shows them to their room and asks if the 3 of them are all staying in the room and if they need an extra bed. They say no, laughing, but they could use more towels. Amani is still upset about the whole hiding her part of the relationship thing, but she wants to pretend things are okay just so they can have a good time tonight. When Ani is in the bathroom, Amani and Matt do a quick debrief and say it's weird that they need to address the hiding thing, but agree that they'll have fun tonight and just address it in the morning. Ani gets in the jacuzzi first and Matt joins her next. Amani joins them and then starts making small talk as Ani compliments Matt. She then tells Amani that they had sex last night. And Amani says that she respects that Ani was the one who told her because Matt didn't say anything. Matt didn't think they were hiding anything, especially because they did try to initiate with Amani, but she wasn't feeling well. Matt is confused if it was okay or not, and Amani says that communication is what was missing in this interaction. Matt feels ganged up on since Ani was the one who told, and Amani seems to be taking her side and respecting her and is now mad at him. And Matt thinks that he's just set up for failure since he has to somehow read the minds of two women now. Okay, so what do you think about this whole Amani being left out situation? Do you think that, they did cross a line, or do you think that...
Well, I think it's impossible to know if they crossed the line because they didn't set the boundaries like everyone tells you you're supposed to, right? It's like the number one rule of a polyamorous relationship is everybody has to be crystal clear on what the boundaries are. Mm-hmm. And so we don't know because they didn't set them, right? But it also kind of makes me not wonder, but I think about how they keep really posing that this is not just some third wheel that they're bringing into the relationship as a fling. She's an equal partner in this relationship, just like they are. And I'm like, y'all do not call her before you have sex every night. Like whenever you, right?
No.
Like, there's not.
That's true.
They're allowed. So, Matt and Amani are allowed to have sex together whenever they want. But if one of them has to have sex with Ani, there has to be some sort of communication and talking. And so that's not a fully equal relationship, which doesn't have to be. But that's kind of what they're claiming it is, right?
Right. No, and I agree because it didn't seem very equal to me when Matt and Amani are like kind of plotting like, okay, Ani's is hiding this. That's not cool, right? And it's just, It seems like plotting, right? You're trying to get someone on your side, kind of be like, okay, like that's not okay. Like, let's, confront her together kind of situation. It doesn't seem equal.
Yeah, I'm also a little bit confused because I would have assumed, I'm surprised that Matt didn't pull this off and being like, we tried to get you involved and you weren't interested. Yeah. And we did it right next to you. We thought you knew. Like, we thought you knew what was going on.
And then
like, it's the situation where how the two people were, in my head, having sex in the bed right next to you. Like, like,
that was my question.
Like, how did you not know that? Like, what?
How was that even happening? It was like Amani, like when they say she wasn't feeling well, was she like blacked out drunk? Like I had more questions about the circumstances because then that was the other thing was like, was there like a living room situation where they were like all making out on the couch in the living room and Manny went to bed and like Matt and Ani were like out on the couch, like, was it really happening right next to her? Like, oh, we thought you knew, like you were in the bed with us and like, we were definitely moving around and, so I think I need to know more. Okay, I don't need to know more, but if I were to make an accurate, to make a judgment, there needs to be more context as to what exactly happened. But to be honest, I just don't care. And I know we've said this and I swear it's not just us too. There is some interesting drama about it. Like, it's almost like when Amani was like, what? Like, and getting all upset about the fact that it was kind of hidden, like that to me is like, yeah, bring on the drama. But then it's like, but none of these people are likable and I'm not really super invested in what the drama exactly is. It's like, oh, good, there's trouble in paradise. That's like the extent of my investment in this drama is like, you're having a hard time. Good.
Yeah, And then like the thing that really got me in terms of not liking these people was the interior of their car.
Oh gosh.
Do you know what I'm talking? Oh my god. When this thing was going on and first of all, they had like Amani and Ani talking about how she doesn't want it. They think Matt's her boyfriend and Amani's just her friend, whatever. Amani's staring directly into the sun, like making squinty eyes and like weird face. I'm like, just buy this lady some sunglasses. I don't understand what's going on here. But behind Ani on the car, on the like door of the car is just like crayon scribbles all over the door.
Oh,
just stickers on the window. And it's like, do these people just let their kids scribble on the interior of the car? Like, what?
I don't know about that. But let me tell you, my niece definitely went through a sticker phase where there were stickers on freaking everything.
Yes.
And
but
yes, the obvious answer would be like, take away the stickers.
You can keep your kids from having something in their hand is when they're strapped into a seat in your car.
Yes, that's true. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, even at my house, there's some random stickers. It's just like, how did this get here?
Yeah, these were a lot of and what got me wasn't, it's like, because do kids unknowingly bring stickers in the car, and you get to the car and you're like, what'd you stick all these stickers on the window for? Like, sure. Do they sometimes sneak a crayon in the car where you thought they were, working on their Happy Meal maze and they're just scribbling on the edge of it? Sure. Those happen.
Yeah.
But I would have cleaned it up that day. Like, it doesn't stay that way, right? That kind of letting it stay means you're just like, oh, this is just a regular thing. My van just looks like this now. Is like that's a level of kind of acceptance of bad kid behavior that I'm just like, it's not for me.
The other thing with them, just generally speaking about, how they're not our favorite, is they just seem to be really revealing themselves in their outside of the show life, that they're just famous.
Oh, I absolutely believe that.
There's so many receipts on Reddit of Matt sliding into people's DMs,
and then
having flirtatious conversations
even
with
this,
people.
Matt was just like the worst, 80s sitcom guy attitudes of things. Where these two women were more or less telling him explicitly what they wanted. We want you to communicate.
Yeah.
Before you really touch either of us when we're around, we need a full communication about what we're doing. He's like, okay. And then goes to us and was like, how am I supposed to read these ladies' minds? What am I supposed to know? It's like, they literally told, what are you talking about, read their minds? They explicitly said what they wanted. And now you're like, I don't know how I'm supposed to know what they want. Who could possibly deduct what a woman wants? And I got two of them, right, guys? It's like, okay.
Right.
Okay, now.
Well, one thing I did notice, and I think I might have mentioned it, but we just spoke of them so little, is like the age gap between Matt and Amani. Did we talk about that? I can't remember.
There's so many age gaps in this season that I just completely forget about.
Surprisingly so. Yeah. Surprisingly so, because like Steve and Maddie were another one where I'm like, they're like 11 years apart.
Yeah. I mean,
they don't look it or seem it. Like there doesn't seem to be a maturity thing. Mm-hmm. But Matt, to me, the fact that he's like a good 8 years older, I was just confused. And I feel like we brought it up before because they're supposed to have met in college. And so it just seems like.
We did talk about that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm reminded once again that he's much older than these people. And so it's like, I don't know. It just seems odd.
Yeah. But it's that's the type of age gap you don't notice when we have, Mark and Mina and Shawn and Alliya. And like that makes 8-year age gap just sounds, well, that's just completely reasonable. But yeah. All right, so let's go with more fake people that are fame whores and talk about Shekinah and Sarper. So Shekinah and Sarper are at the airport, and they're thankful they didn't get detained because apparently Shekinah gets detained at the airport all the time because she's had so many surgeries she doesn't look like her passport anymore, and it just comes up being like, this is not the same person. So we see them self-filming their self all the way on the plane, and they get on their way. 13 hours later, they're wheels down in L.A., and after 13 hours on the plane, Sarper has a new appreciation about the 7 times Shekinah had to come to Turkey for him. And he was like, you had to do that plane trip 14 times? I'm never doing it again. Like, I'm done. So at the airport, she wants to take advantage of their new freedom and takes his public kiss virginity because, they're not in Turkey anymore. So then Shekinah immediately jumps into talking about how 90 days isn't isn't enough time. Which... Oh,
God. It's like you guys have been together for a long time.
On 3 seasons of this show. How are you going to tell me 90 days isn't enough time? What? Oh.
Yeah.
And she's like, I guess because he hasn't met my friends and my daughter and stuff. So that's a lot of times. It's like, oh my God. So anyway, they get in the ride, and she's like very worried about him adapting to this lifestyle where she's going to be the one who's bringing in the money and that stuff, and that's what's going to be the challenge. So on the ride home, Sarper talks about like what to do like when he meets new people because they're going to meet for a friend like right away. He's like, do I kiss people on the cheeks? Do I hug? And she's like, just handshakes. That's it. Which I mean, he's like, even if they're like really close to you, she's like, yes, just handshakes. Which I feel like the real answer is you can hug my friends. Like that's, But anyway, on the way to the place, they have to stop up to pick up her dogs. The dogs are with her friend Janae, who lives in a house that kind of I feel like that going to this house first really sets Sarper up for disappointment later because it's just a big, beautiful, gorgeous house. She's got all these things. The dogs come out. The dogs are, happy to see him. The one he's met, the one he hasn't met. But they can't leave before they meet Ribeye, which was Janae's house cow.
Oh my gosh. I've never said house cow so many times to my partner when we saw this. He's like house cow and he just starts laughing.
That lived in the house. Yeah. And like
no.
Well, that's the thing.
That's a terrible idea.
She kind of was like, oh, it's like a real big like TikTok trend thing. So I don't know if she was making that shit up or if I'm just really out of touch with like shallow LA social media that I'm just like, is house cows a thing?
I feel like I saw one thing, like maybe an Instagram reel or something.
Yeah, it's like so one person made a TikTok and now she's like, yeah, it's all the rage. Everybody's made a house cows.
Yeah, but it's a terrible idea. You're putting all that methane gas in your house. Like, gross.
Yeah, like, and you can't.
Your house must stink.
And they said they met the one house cow, but apparently she has two because you can't have just one because they have they're social animals.
They're cute, but they need to live outside.
It is very cute to watch on TV. The smell is what I would mostly be concerned about. But anyway.
Yeah, 100% the smell. Like cows be farting, and that's like seriously putting a hole in the ozone layer.
Yeah, like think about if I drive by a cow farm on the road, I'm like, windows are going up.
I'm trying to have that in my house.
Gross.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, anyway, after Janae's, they go to Shekinah's, well, I guess their place now, which is decidedly less mansiony. So she uses her kitchen as a facial spa. I originally put she also uses her kitchen as a facial spa, but it turns out she exclusively uses her kitchen as an esthetician's office. It's there. It takes up the chair and the various machines and plugs and lights and all things take up 2/3 of the kitchen at least. But on top of that, she's like, well, I don't like to use the kitchen because then it makes my office smell like food. And Sarper's just like, wait, so we can't make food in the kitchen because it will smell like food? And she's like, yes, precisely. And he's just like, why do we have a kitchen that we don't use for food? What is wrong with you? And she's like, oh, you can just go out and buy everything prepared anyway. So he is, first time he's heard that he is not going to be able to use the kitchen that they have. But not only is he not going to get able to use the kitchen, he also, when she has clients over, can't be in the apartment at all. Not even upstairs in the bedroom, because she might hear what the clients say, and they would be uncomfortable with that. So this is also the first he's heard that he's going to have to, at random times, vacate the only place he has to be in the entire city. So he's just like, I feel like this is unfair that you haven't told me all this before. And I mean, that's where we left off. And I would say, I mean, how much hard do you agree with? This is definitely information he should have had prior to coming to the States.
Yeah. It's kind of like, yes, he should have known, but I don't think this is a make or break it. I don't know, maybe. But it also seems weird to me. Like, why can't he just be sleeping up in the bed area?
Yeah. Like, there's stairs, too. It's not like he's like, oh, he's right behind that door or whatever. It's like, they don't even have to know he's there.
Right, exactly. Because I know one of the things she's like, oh, well, maybe they'll feel uncomfortable having a man around. And it's like, well, why do they have to know that anyone's around if he just stays really quiet?
Yeah. Yeah, like in Love After Lockup, where she made his fiancé live in the attic where his kids were. Great.
The whole Jane Eyre situation. Yeah. Why can't he do that? But also I would want to know, like, how often is she doing stuff at home? Like, does she have like an appointment a week, a couple appointments a week? Or is this something where it's like 8 to 5, she has back-to-back appointments and he's got to figure out someplace else to be? Maybe he can go hang out with the house cows.
Maybe. Because I also wonder...
Because he seemed to like that house a lot more anyway.
I also wonder what the condo board or whoever thinks about them running a business out of their house. I always feel like whenever I'm involved in a homeowner association or a condo board or anything, I get hit up for the stupidest crap. Oh, you have too many towels on your balcony, and then I'm like, the other person, this person's running a porn studio in their apartment. You don't say anything to them. Like what? Like...
Well, she did say something about a work live space, and I don't know if that's like just a California thing, but there's certainly I don't think so. Like the artist lofts, right? Things like that.
Yeah, but usually the like live space is because I've known people who've done this, who've had like various chiropractic, but they like will have a garage or a separate place from where they live that's at least portioned off, and they'll usually put in direct entrance just to that place, so you don't have to go through the house. But like, I would be uncomfortable doing with those medical-ish looking machines that she has if there's a freaking range 2 feet away from me and a microwave. like this seems fly by night here.
And then she's like, "But that's okay. We never use those things anyway."
Yeah, just that's. Don't you have an office? I'm very, very concerned.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they didn't show us the upstairs, but it's like, if it's just a bedroom upstairs, that would be concerning because that is very tiny.
Yeah. Well, that might be, I don't even know if that's up to any kind of code we have here. I think you have to have some sort of living area in general. I don't know. They have studio apartments here, so. Maybe not.
Well, I was going to say, I would expect there to be 2 rooms because her daughter, like she has a daughter and they're probably not sleeping in the same bed because her daughter's a teenager. So
it's true. Yeah. Yeah. But
I would think that she would have 2 rooms up
But
there,
I mean, if we looked at the footprint that we saw of her lower level, it's just that kitchen. Like, so I don't know where that's.
Well, and then a tiny bit of space that seems like it should have been a living room.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, all right. Let's move on to Stevi and Mahdi. So they're on their way to meet Stevi's dad, and she is nervously laughing, which Mahdi is confused about. He's quiet and nervous on the ride. Mahdi looks terrified and stressed as they approach the house. Stevi gets out and says that Mahdi is nervous, and Perry, her dad, says he should be. Mahdi notes that the family is huddled around a fire, and there's weapons like axes and saws just laying around. He thinks he's seen this horror film, and those never end well for people like him. He said that. So people of color,
I think it's the people of color always
really
get killed. I think that's what that was supposed to be.
Okay. Yeah. So they sit around the fire in camp chairs as a black cat runs by them, speaking of horror films. Mahdi and Stevi both recognize this is a bad omen, even though the cat is Perry's, it seems like. There's an awkward silence before Stevi's brother asks how Mahdi is liking it in the U.S. Mahdi notes the differences in traffic, but then Perry brings up the tensions in Iran and wants to confirm that he wasn't involved in any of the violence happening over there. Mahdi talks about how women have fewer rights, and Perry asks if it's because they are viewed as property. Mahdi feels like the interrogation has just begun. Mahdi says that he wanted to respect the laws, but he knows that women are not property. Perry seems to be happy-ish with that answer and gets up to get the food ready. Mahdi lets the cat in the house because he didn't know if it was allowed or not, but then they shoo it out. Mahdi says that he's not super comfortable eating pork because he wants to respect his parents and how he grew up. Stevi points out that Southern food is very fried, and he can say goodbye to his six-pack. And Mahdi knows. He knows. Perry tells Mahdi he didn't know about him until a few days ago, and Mahdi says he didn't know that Stevi hadn't told him. Perry asks if they can wait longer to get married, and Mahdi says based on the visa they have, they really only have 90 days. Perry says he probably likes the U.S. because of the freedoms, but how can they know if Mahdi isn't just using Stevi? Mahdi says that their concerns make sense, and he says that he's never been in love with anyone before, and he feels that way with Stevi. They try to change the subject by offering him a s'more. Perry thinks that a lot of adjustments are going to be needed, but he thinks that Mahdi is a good guy. Mahdi tries his first s'more, and he loves it. Everyone agrees that Mahdi's gonna get fat because he really seems to enjoy his sweets. Stevi talks to her stepmom alone about Mahdi talking about going back since he said that he's been homesick. Stevi feels a lot of pressure to keep Mahdi happy, so he will want to stay. She worries that he won't get settled in, and if that will jeopardize their marriage. Okay, so I think it is a legitimate concern because he does seem to kind of be okay with the idea of just kind of picking up and leaving. What do you think that how do you think that she should navigate this? Because it sounds like she just feels like, oh, well, it just means I have to make him happy here, but isn't reasonable, right?
Yeah, ultimately somebody else's happiness isn't your responsibility, and you don't want to be, if I don't make them happy enough, they'll just up and leave. But yeah. I also kind of still feel like this was, if it comes up again, I'm going to be more concerned, right?
Well, it does, doesn't it, in the preview?
Well, that's what I don't know how much stock I would put on, like, culture shock, just landed, oh my God, what did I do? Like, saying things that you are just like, probably shouldn't have said out loud, right? That are running through your head when things are brand new and overwhelming. And so I would probably chalk the first instance up to that and just be like, well, yeah, because after that, I mean, isn't that everybody's job to, like, try to make your partner comfortable enough that they don't want to leave? It doesn't seem like it's that big of an ask, but I don't know. It seems like something kind of everybody could. I don't know why this is more concerning for her. I guess it's because it's more of a pull? Like there's more things pulling him away than a typical person?
I think that part of, him coming here and feeling like he's not welcome back in his country may make it feel more of a serious decision, right? Because I think they mentioned or alluded to the fact that he could potentially just not be allowed to go back, or persecuted if he went back. And so I think, like, they really see this as a sacrifice because going back might not be an option. Right,
but that's a bridge that's already been crossed. And so that's what's, and I wonder how much, my desire to go back is influenced by, just like everything else. You tell me I can't do something, and guess what the only thing I want to do now is that thing you just told me I can't do, right?
Right.
And so, yeah, it's just knowing that might not be an option anymore. It makes him be like, ooh, that seems like a really good option. Maybe I should have done that. But that doesn't help with the family, right? Because all this whole interrogation, I don't know, maybe me being I wouldn't think it's disrespectful, but all these things, what did you think about? What did you think about that? I'd be like, dude, if I wanted to treat your daughter like property, if I wanted a woman to treat like property and to follow all the laws of Islam, I wouldn't have come to America to find somebody.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, if that was a priority.
Yeah.
Right.
I said, yeah, so I don't know. I'm not coming over here to convince you to do anything besides maybe make your house look less like a horror movie set.
Yeah. I was confused, too, because Mahdi said something about him teaching English, too.
Yeah, the brother asked that. The brother asked, did you teach English?
Yeah.
And he said, I did. And so I was like, well, now I'm confused. Did he teach English after he learned it from her? Did he... go to her class to brush up on skills. So I was very confused about what was going on in terms of how much English. Because I thought he was the learner, not the teacher.
Right. So yes, I was also very confused by that. It's like, is this whole how they met like a scam? I don't know.
But I also think that does take a little bit of outreach on the parents' part. Like seriously, and I don't know how they couldn't have planned this dinner that far in advance, right? Because they didn't even plan the dinner until they knew he was coming.
Right.
A Muslim guy's coming to your house, and you know damn well he can't eat pork. Well, what are you doing serving pork as your main
Well,
that is
okay.
your main deal.
Given what we know about Perry, I feel like that.
I mean,
was
it's just like a
maybe
test. I'm going to see if he's going to eat the
planned.
pork. I'm going to give him the pork. Well, that's bullshit. Like, that's...
Yeah. But quite honestly, like, there are plenty of people that aren't super knowledgeable about other cultures that plain would not know, right?
But I feel like
people don't even know what dairy is, right? Like, when you say, you know, dairy, some people think it includes like eggs.
Yeah.
So, you know, it just, some people just don't know, right? And so, like, knowing that, like, you know, oh, the fact that bacon and pork are from the same animal. I feel like there are people out there that don't realize that. And so I
do understand that pork is a very large part of Southern cuisine. Like, that is a very big staple meat of Southern cuisine.
Right.
So I get it. It just seems like, and it seems like somebody who's so concerned about the Muslims and the jihad and the, are you going to make her treat her as property, would have enough stereotypes about Islam already that one of them is they don't eat pork. They won't even eat bacon.
Honestly, so I've been to Dubai and Maldives, and they're both, you know, Muslim countries. And it never occurred to me, like, oh, like, they don't have bacon at this breakfast, right? So, I mean, certainly things that you don't, you don't have to think about.
I'm just saying, during the Iraq War, I saw a bunch of racist forwards from grandma, forwards around that were like, oh, here's how you win the war. Send a soldier that's wrapped in bacon. They'll all run away from him. Like, it's like definitely a known thing among the racist people that Muslims are scared of pork.
Okay. That's one way to view it, I guess.
Oh, okay. All right. So last up we have Jessica and Juan. So we're back in the bar where Juan has admitted that he cheated on Jessica. So we started this, and this was from her friend Megan, just like asking. So he said he was lonely. He made a mistake. You know, he's only human. And then Megan starts to cry because, why didn't you just admit this to me over a year ago when I asked? And his response is, my bad. So outside, we get an interview with him. He's like, I don't know what's going on. Why is she crying about this? Why does she care so much? Why does she think has a say over what my fiance knows and doesn't know? Whatever. So Jess says that she definitely already knew about this, and they had decided to move past it, and she decided to forgive him. But she won't be ready to forgive him if he slips up again. Jess says that this was just, you know, she was also feeling weak in the relationship at this time, and she was, you know, talking to a guy, maybe starting to catch a little feelings for somebody. You know, she didn't cross the level into having sex with him and cheating, but, you know, it was that. And then that's when Megan was like, oh yeah, that's right. That's when you were talking to your ex, wasn't it? Like, and that was new information for Juan. So that makes a pretty big difference that it wasn't just some random guy she was talking to. It was an ex. So after the bar, they get into her cold car and head home. So on the ride, he wants to bring up the ex-boyfriend thing. So she's like, we already talked about that. And he's like, no, we didn't. We talked about you talking to some guy. We did not talk about how you were running back to an ex. He thinks it's unfair that everybody's coming after him. And, you know, but and he's finding out things now too. It's not like she was so innocent. So, you know, and then it comes up. She's like, you know, he came over to the house, and he's like, when did he come over? And she was like, it was in the evening. And he's like, were your kids there? And she was like, no. And so he's just like, well, this was emotional cheating, right? If you were talking to some rando, then that would just be a pure physical thing. But if it's an ex, you clearly had an emotional connection. And, you know, so he just thinks she's being a hypocrite, and she thinks that he's just trying to find something that she did wrong so that they can be on like a level playing field in terms of their misbehavior. So in terms of those two things, is Jess being a hypocrite, or is Juan trying to like find equal footing in their misdeeds? Which one of those two is going on? Both?
Yeah, I think both. I think he is certainly trying to find something where it's like, you're not so perfect too.
Right.
And you can relate to maybe, you know, why I cheated at some point because you were feeling lonely too, but in a different way. Whereas I do think she's being a hypocrite because if he was in the same position, you'd have stupid Megan over here demanding to know what happened,
Right.
even though you told her repeatedly that nothing happened.
Oh yeah, I mean that part is fair, right? If we admittedly know that this ex came to her house alone when her children were there. So
Kids aren't around. Yeah.
Right? If Juan had pulled the same thing, there is 0% chance Megan would think he did anything but sleep with that girl. And she would keep asking him until he said he did.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So this Megan girl, she just needs to go
Oh, man.
away. I don't know why she's like crying and like all invested in this. Like it's her relationship. She's not.
That was the big takeaway from, I feel like, most of when I was looking on the internet and stuff from this is like, what? Why does Megan think she's in a relationship with this guy? Like, he didn't cheat on you, and the person you were there to support already decided that they're done, that they're good and they can move on. And then you were just so butthurt that she didn't. I think she was also hurt that Jessica didn't tell Megan that, I knew he cheated on me. He admitted it to me.
Yeah.
Like, I think she was mad at both of them. And that's why, and I think she 100% threw in that, when you were hanging out with your ex, on 100% on purpose to get her in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Just craziness. It just, makes no sense.
Yeah, it's just, I can't imagine being so invested in somebody else's relationship that if they told me, I found out they cheated on me and I have known for a little while and we tried to move on. And it reacting to that with, how dare you not tell me? It's just like, that is a bizarre foreign reaction to me.
Yeah. Everything about like what happened to me was really odd.
Yeah. And
with Megan. I just don't understand any of that.
No, I don't. I mean, I understand her wanting her friend to not have been lied to by her ex and her wanting the best, wanting her to be in a relationship where she can trust the person, wanting the best for her. Why I feel like it's my job to demand the truth out of him, especially when they've already discussed this and they've already been through it. Like, she's like, no, your guys' deal isn't good enough for me, a person who has nothing to do with this relationship besides being a friend. Right. Like, that's bizarre. That's just off the wall.
Yeah, she had no right. And I put in my notes, why is this bitch getting so upset?
And I feel like Juan was just like that. He was like, she was like,
what is happening over here?
Yes.
Yeah, because she was like just sobbing. And I'm just like, what is happening? I don't understand.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. All right. So we didn't see Greg and Joan this time around. So who would you say is your student of the week?
My student of the week, I will go with, I feel like I always go with Mahdi. So I was trying to pick somebody else. I know,
but he's like the best one.
But everybody else kind of sucked. Yeah, I think everybody else sucked. I have to go Mahdi again.
Alliya, maybe.
Yeah, Alliya didn't do anything wrong. I won't say that. She was neutral.
But Mahdi, I agree, because Mahdi really understood the situation, and I think that he kind of, in his own small way, small win for him, winning over Perry. At least Perry said he was a nice guy. I'm like, okay, well, that's a win.
Yeah, that's true. Yes, he did. He's like, I don't know if I trust him all the way yet, but he seems like a good dude.
Yeah. So, okay, what about your duns? So many to choose from.
Lots to choose from. To stick it to main cast, I'm gonna say Mina, because I think it could have been Jordan or Mina. Like, I wouldn't. They both. I don't think one was better or worse than the other one, to be honest.
Right.
But Mina's a main cast, so I'm giving it to Mina. It's just like,
yes, I agree. That's exactly what I did.
Did not move. It didn't move anything forward. Like, you're just intentionally antagonizing someone that you know is not going away, right?
Yeah.
No matter how bad she was behaving or being, you're just intentionally antagonizing her. You're stuck with this. You're stuck with this lady. She's still his daughter, right? She's still your husband's daughter, and
right.
Yeah, and it's just it was just like, no. my vengeance is more important to me than moving forward it anyway. And I don't know, even understand how in her selfish conception of I want to get what I want, how this helps her move toward that either. It just is like, no, I must make everything more difficult just because I don't like her.
Yeah. That kind of brings me to my life lesson, which is you should just never uninvite people to the wedding. Unless you like want a restraining order against them, because, you know, if you really are considering like conflict and things like that, it's like that person. Well, okay. And let me also preface this by saying we're making the assumption that the person you're uninviting is mature enough to recognize like, I don't want to be there, so I am going to choose not to go. Right. So you're putting the decision on them to decide to support you or not. But by uninviting them, that is just causing drama and conflict.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So my life lesson, I kind of like, I feel like this is just a repeated thing that came up, either the specter of it coming up or having this. Someone else's relationship, you don't get to like make decisions for them because it makes you feel bad.
Yeah, right.
And it's like we saw that repeatedly. Like we saw Alliya and Shawn is worried that his kids is going to try to sabotage his relationship because it makes them feel icky. And Megan doesn't like the agreement that Jessica and Juan came to. So I'm going to like be personally hurt by that. And then, you know, Jordan too. It's like you don't get a say over other people's choice in relationship. You can express your opinion, but at the end of the day, it is not your place to. Right. And what they choose to do is not an insult or a harm to you specifically. It's like they kept multiple people who were like, "Oh my God, you're going to have a baby? That hurts me." I'm like, "What? What?"
That whole thing was just wild, but yeah. All right. So we are still just getting started. So we'll be back again this time next week, and our Love After Lockup will be back too.
Oh, is it back this Friday? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I think so.
I knew it was coming back soon.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if it's this Friday or next Friday.
Yeah, I think it's this Friday. So we'll be back with that as well. And if you watch Love After Lockup, and I think Love After Lockup is starting to get more fans because they are streaming all the old episodes on Peacock. And so people who
are catching
formerly
up.
did not have access to WeTV or All Black, whatever they were streaming on before, are now being able to join the party, the Love After Lockup party, which is spectacular.
Yes, definitely.
All right. So until
then. See everybody then. Okay.
Okay. Bye.